Hey guys, my name is Brad Turner. I'm from Southern California. I've lived here all my life, and due to some recent events, I've decided that it might be a good idea to share my thoughts with anyone who might be willing to listen. So I thought I'd get on here and start this video blog. Um, so I guess a little bit about myself and why I'm here. I've lived my entire life, at least from a very young age, up until maybe about high school. I was very much towing the status quo, towing the party line, I guess you could say, of society. Um, my parents are very good people. I think they instilled uh, some very good lessons and values in me that have helped me immensely in dealing with a lot of the things that I've come across in my years here and a lot of the questions that I've dealt with. My parents have always been very good people and have always taught me to always take the high ground, turn the other cheek, be the better man or woman or whatever um, you need to do in the situation to do the right thing. And I was always taught that doing the right thing, no matter being selfless and sacrificing for others, no matter what you get out of it, is kind of there can be no nobler act than doing those types of things. Um, throughout the time when I started experimenting with the subculture in high school is probably about when I started to ask questions about my society, about my country, about my culture. Things that I'd always taken for granted, I now started to look at in a new light. And I started to be aware of some things that didn't always make me feel all that good about what I had previously perceived as my place in this culture and this society and this country and this world and this universe to a greater extent. Um, when I started having these questions, you know, it's hard to put my finger on it really what it was. Um, I was in 7th grade when, the war on terror started, 9/11, saw the towers fell that morning. And it was a very hard thing for all of us, I think. And we're almost 10 years later here, and the thing that really prompted me to start this, that I should maybe share my ideas, since some other ideas were being shared as well that may not have seemed so positive to me. Uh, if you've been following current events, last night, which today is May 2nd, 2011, yesterday it was reported in the mainstream media in the United States that we located and killed Osama bin Laden, who has been, since very shortly after 9/11, it was um, stated by our government that he was responsible. Him, Al Qaeda, the terrorist organization, had plotted and carried out the events of 9/11. Now, we can save the details of all that for another day and discuss some of the merits of those statements. But right now, I'd like to focus on what I saw last night. When I turned on the news to see, this being reported, but this was CBS, and what I saw was a bunch of young people out in the streets, people my age, college age kids, and they had their arms up in the air, they were covered in American flags, and they were chanting USA, USA, and cheering, with signs, Bin Laden's dead, and all these things. And I understand, not 9/11 was a horrible event and should never have happened, but the reality of the matter here is what was reported on CBS is that our special forces went into a compound and basically killed 20 or 30 people in cold blood. Well, I mean, there was a firefight, reportedly, so, you know, they're shooting back. None of our people were killed, you know, they were very well prepared. This was a very strategic attack, is the way that it was reported. And, you know, none of that really matters, separated from the fact that 20 or 30 people died here, shot in the head. I mean, I heard reports that there was a woman used as a human shield, all these things, but 20 or 30 people died. Okay, this isn't an achievement for mankind, or we didn't land on the moon, we didn't cure cancer, and there's people in the street cheering over this. This is not a victory. You know, even if you want to see this as a good thing, it's not something to be cheered about. I mean, in the states in the United States here where the death penalty is still an option, if you're executed for a capital offense, the victim of your crime, their family is allowed to witness your execution. Now, I hardly think that these relatives are going to go home high-fiving each other, drinking, and carrying on, having a good time after they've just witnessed an execution of someone that killed their family member. So, you know, the whole relevancy of we're celebrating because he was our enemy and he's gone. I mean, the war on terror doesn't change. I mean, some more people just died, and it seems like a very obvious, very obvious disconnection from reality that our society has been exhibiting over time. That is kind of what I've started to pick up on since high school. That certain things that happen in the world, the implications of actions that we take, we are completely separated from the reality of these things, and our culture and our society encourage us to be this way. And in fact, that is what contributes to many of the problems that we're experiencing as a universal civilization today. You know, I tell a lot of people that I had a moment that changed my life, and it was just a new way of looking at things. And, you know, I'll admit to you that this moment occurred while I was under the influence of psychedelics. I had taken some LSD, and I've had a lot of experience with psychedelics in the past. I have been doing vast amounts of research for the last several years on things that I never thought were possible, or things that had just been so far out of the scope of my attention before. And they have just changed the way that I think about so many things. I have a new respect for spirituality, for universal consciousness, and for things of these nature. And I really think that there's going to be some coming changes in the next few years, in my lifetime at least, that are going to change the way most of us think about this world in a very intense way. And I cannot wait for it. I, for one, have so much hope for the future. I just see science and spirituality converging, and the implications of this are just amazing, and I hope that we'll all be around to see it. So, you know, guys, I'd love to get some of you guys in here so we could have a lively discussion about some of these issues, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about any of the things that I've been spouting out here. You know, hopefully we'll have another installment next time the next important issue pops up, and I'll check in with you guys later.